second.
Pretty soon.
Any second, it's going to be live.
There we go. We're live.
Hey, all
We're
right.
live. And we don't have Rick here playing the drums today.
We wish we had Rick here.
We don't have Rick. We're drumless. Yeah. Look at that. We're a drumless drumming podcast.
Drumless drumming podcast.
Everybody, welcome to Drummers Education Connection. I almost said the wrong name. I'm Baroli, and you're here today with us with our friend Jerry Trubman from Tucson, Arizona, which is Chip's neck of the woods. Yeah. And we're going to be talking to him today. Welcome to the show, Jerry.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, man, this is going to be fantastic. So as you guys know, here on DEC, we just kind of do our thing and start off with good things, right? We start off with talking about good things. And we got our friend Fred Rock Fisher from Boise, Idaho in the house today.
Yeah.
And since he's our guest host, I'm going to throw it down to him first. Thank you for being our guest host today, Fred. And what do you got going on that's good, buddy?
It's all physical related. This journey on recovering from this broken leg is a little over 8 months into this process. I started driving again. That was about a week ago.
Cool.
I mowed my lawn. I climbed a ladder and fixed the exhaust vent in our main bathroom.
All right.
Just been trying. I've been the last couple of days I was able to get out in the neighborhood and kind of go for about a 3/4 of a mile walk, which was my opportunity to listen to Jerry's band, his album Nomad. Is that correct? Nomad?
Yep.
Yeah. So I got to dig into Jerry's drumming a little bit while I was out walking, and I feel great. The swelling's gone down a lot. I can see my kneecap again. So I'm not 100%, but I've made some big strides over the last month, so I'm really stoked about that. That's my good thing.
Dude, that's been a journey. Good for you. I'm so happy for you, man. So happy for you.
Yeah.
Chip, what do you got going on that's good, buddy?
Man, I got to tell you, Bart, the DEC day is my good thing. We're getting ready. I'm getting ready for my clinic, and I've got most of the outline done. I've got most of the content for my handouts. Have a good friend of mine, Todd Carrasco, did the transcribing for my book and DVD, Snare Force One, and he's helping me to transcribe the concept for the handouts. And we're just working towards it, man. Looking forward to April 26th, DEC Day. You can get tickets. I'll post the website. You can get tickets now and come see us in Orange, California, and at Aquarian Drumheads headquarters. So that's my good thing.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to DEC Day too. That's going to be fantastic. You know what? That's my good thing, and then I have a second good thing, and that is that on Saturday, my wife is really involved in animal rescue. She has been forever. I would bore you guys with stories, but her heart is as big as all outdoors when it comes to animals. And we had a whole bunch of hamsters that she had rescued, and we took them down to a hamster rescue in San Diego. And it just so happened that I was like less than 5 miles from Rick Stojak's studio. And so I went by Rick's studio on Saturday after we dropped off these hamsters, and he and I played drums together. I got to meet one of his students, got to go in and see Gene Hoagland's drum set and where he's rehearsing at and stuff, and just had a really nice visit with our friend Rick, who is not here today. He's down in Florida visiting his mom, and it was just a great time. It was really cool to see his the Rick Stojak dojo, man. It was
right on.
Cool. It was a very cool thing.
Yeah,
it was fun. So Jerry, what do you got going on that's good? Inside, outside of drumming, what do you got, buddy?
Well, inside the world of music, that album came out, I guess this Friday is going to be 3 or 4 weeks, something like that.
3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, and it was such a crazy thing. Like when you're involved with a record label, regardless of whether it's a big label or an indie label, there's always these dynamics that are always very different. So we, in the studio, I went first, so I got to lay down everything to nothing but the sound of a binging metronome, and then the guys came in afterwards. So I recorded all those drum parts. I was done recording probably around June of last year. Mm-hmm. And then we were done by like September, like all the guys were done by like September. And I figure, oh yeah, Christmas time, that album's going to be out. It's, we're going to start to promote it and whatnot. And then we find out from the label, like, yeah, okay, yeah, we're shooting for like a March release. I'm like, March? What's taking so long? So, you know, we spent about 1.5 years writing the album, and then we spent, you know, a few months recording it. And, you know, there's that anxiety, there's that anticipation. You're just like, is it going to be well received? Are people going to like it? Or, so all of that kind of came to a head when the album came out. And the feedback from the album, you know, what personal friends of mine, musician friends of mine, what they think of it has just been overwhelmingly positive. And it's just, yeah, that's definitely my good thing, is that the album is doing very, very well. We're streaming and tracking and everything better than in just a few weeks. We've done so much better than anything else that we've put out there has done in months, you know? So we're really, really excited about this new album. You know, in my personal life, business life, you know, God is good. You know, things are going really, really well for us right now. So just happy to be here.
That
Right
is
on,
fantastic.
man. Awesome.
Cool.
Very cool.
Cool.
So now you are the drummer for Cranberry Suite. That is a
Cranberry Suit.
It's Cranberry Suit. Sorry,
Yeah.
I looked at it incorrectly. I apologize. That's
Once-
number
once-
two.
Once forgiven, Bart.
Yeah. No, well, now I've got two. I've got 2 strikes against me. Cranberry Suit. I'm gonna learn how to read and spell someday. Anyway, so you've been in that band for how long? How did that come to be? And talk to us about the record label and everything like that. Go a little bit deep on this.
Yeah. How'd
Sure.
you get in the band?
Pure accident. So the backstory, I have been with Cranberry Suit. Let's see. I want to say September is, oh man, is it 2 years or 3? No, it'd be 2 years. September will be 2 years. And I hope that's right.
I think
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, so I met the guys. I had been playing drums for a long time, and as my non-music life began to grow and mature into other businesses and whatnot, drumming became less and less of a part of my life. I still played like in the church bands and like still did all that stuff. I never actually quit playing. But I did take a very extended break from chasing my my rock star dreams. And the thing that really, really messed me up was actually COVID. And as a business owner, so I own a gym. And between that and as a performer, and like it just something about that just really, really messed with my head. And once we started to come out of the COVID hole, I realized, like, you know, life is just too short to not be doing the stuff that you really, really want to be doing.
Yeah.
And I really realized that I let my biggest passion slip away from me. Like I just was not playing music as much as I had liked to. So it became a New Year's resolution in, I think it was 2021, where I'm like, I'm going to get back behind this beast that's sitting behind me, and I'm going to get my chops back. And it took me about 3 or 4 months before I was really comfortable to start auditioning for bands. I played in another band for a short while before meeting the Cranberry Suit guys. And once I realized that that band really wasn't going to work out for me, I started to look for something that was serious. And I had met, I actually got in contact with Raven and Brad, and it was actually a Mr. Chip Ritter who was the initial catalyst, because I saw this really, really cool video from a show that Cranberry Suit was playing, and they were in need of a drummer, and they found a Mr. Chip Ritter to fill in and play that show. Now, I don't know the details of that show, so Chip, you're gonna have to fill in the blanks on that one here when I'm done. But I saw that and I was like, I wonder if Chip is like the permanent drummer, or are they looking for a drummer? And so that started a conversation with the lead guitar player Raven and the singer. So they were in need of a drummer as well as a bass player. So I reached out to them. The band that I had played in prior, there was one guy that I really, really admired, and that's Rob Munschauer, who is our guitar player. And what he basically told me when I left the band was, he's like, dude, you're one of the most talented drummers I've ever played for. Wherever you're going, I'm following. So I felt some pressure with that, because Cranberry Suit I knew had a guitar player. So I approached that conversation with Raven pretty delicately. And as we started to build our relationship, I was just like, you know, there's a guitar player that I played with that I really, really admire, and I really would love to continue to play guitar with him. And Raven was like, "What's his name?" I'm like, "His name is Rob Munschauer." He's like, "Oh, Rob? Oh, he's awesome. I've been wanting to play in a band with him forever. Bring him in." I'm like, "Woo!"
Right on.
So I'm like, "Oh, this is perfect." And the bass player just put out this thing on social media. He's like, "Hey, I'm leaving the East Coast. I'm packing up all my stuff, moving to Tucson. I'm looking to get a fresh start. I play bass." And I don't know what it was about him that got my attention, but there was just something about his post that made me want to reach out to him. And I got to meet him, Brian Nelson, and I found out that he's, first of all, a phenomenal bass player, and secondly, he went to school for production. Like, so he's a Pro Tools wizard, and he actually produced and engineered and mastered our album. So I basically brought the bass player and second guitar and drums to the songwriting and music writing of Brad and Raven, and we just sort of merged to become this iteration of Cranberry Soup.
That's awesome, man. That's really
Nice.
cool. It's funny how the world works, you know what I mean? How doors open when you start lining up with your goals and your dreams, and you actually start stepping forward in faith about, hey, this is going to work out. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How's the Chip and I have talked about this one-on-one, and we've talked about it on the show. What's the music scene in Tucson like? Is there a lot of gigs there for you? Are you traveling, or are you planning on traveling? Do you have an agent? What's happening there?
Yeah, the music scene, it's hard for me to gauge. Most of the success that I've had playing music has been outside of the state of Arizona.
Mhm.
And I think the Cranberry Soup guys and I echo this when we say that we're trying to expand our horizons a little bit. Like we have the means and the capability to travel. And we've had, as far to answer your question regarding the music scene in Tucson, I think it's a lot like most cities where you've got, there's always that delicate balance between wanting to earn a living playing music or earn some degree of income playing music, and having a place where you can be really creative. So a lot of the music, the paying gigs in Tucson, a lot of those are cover bands, which we do have. There's a couple of covers that we do, but we are in no way, shape, or form a cover band. So those sorts of venues, like, they're not going to attract a Cranberry Soup. And but because of just the level of talent of these guys, we've been very blessed with having larger venues reaching out to us. So we've had the honor of opening for some relatively big national acts that have come through Tucson, and so we've got to play on some big stages, and that's been a lot of fun, and definitely more lucrative than your local stuff. I think Chip can probably speak to this much better than I can. I mean, earning a living at drums versus playing drums for fun, which is basically what I do. I might see things through a different lens.
Yeah, well, I believe that the music scene in Tucson has got pockets of real raw talent, but then it also has, like you said, some of the weekend warrior type things that aren't really up to the level that I would say are a healthy, robust music scene. I think music cities like Austin, Texas, and Nashville have much more healthier scenes as far as the amount of bands that you can go see play, as far as the opportunities that there are to go work. I stepped out of Neon Prophet, the reggae band, after playing with them for 7 years at two different bars, the same bars for 7 years. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the grind is there. The opportunities are there if you want to play drums, but I don't necessarily rate Tucson high on the index of music scenes.
Well, he said it, not me.
I think if you're going to earn a living as a musician, the one thing that I've found, first of all, you're never going to be a good prophet in your hometown. Nobody is received well in their hometown. And if you're not willing to travel, if you just want to sit and, I mean, it's doable, but they're not going to be, they're going to be the bar gigs, the things like that, which is fine. There's no problem with that. But I think you have to be willing to travel. So that's fantastic that you guys are willing, willing to do that. Now the new album, was that, Fred, I'm sorry, you're going to ask a question.
I was going to try to sneak in there.
Yeah, go.
Regarding the local music scene where you are, Jerry, are you one of the people that goes out and checks out the scene? Are there certain bands around your area that you might go and watch, regardless of the cover band or original band? Like, how aware of the scene are you in Tucson? Tucson, right?
Yes, in Tucson. Man, look at Fred calling me out like that. I think the guys, I'll be honest, do a much better job at that than I do. They're going out and listening to bands and hanging out places. I have some musician friends, and sometimes I'll get invited to go out and have a listen. So I do get out every once in a while, but there's a couple of problems that compound that for me. Number one, because of my other business, I go to bed around 8 p.m.
Wow.
And so like, it's really rough on my body when, when we tour and whatnot, it's kind of a different story because my body just adjusts to a different schedule. But if I'm just doing like a one-off here and there, it's really difficult on my body to kind of adjust my time clock. I've got some tricks that I use, but long story short, I really, I am not out there as much as I normally would. Part of it is the schedule of my other career. Part of it is just my natural hermit lifestyle. I mean, I just... But I do try to get out there, especially like I live on the east side of town, and I do try to get out to some of the venues and listen to music when I do get a chance. And, when my wife and I want to have some extra caffeine and go and listen to some music, we do tend to do that. I know Brad and Raven, they're whenever like these bands that they really like come through or somebody's playing around town, those guys get out a lot more than I do.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I just curious. I used to be one that would pay attention to my local scene, pretty heavily. As I've gotten older, I pay attention less, and I gotta really want to go see a band to go out if I'm not playing. So
I still have this problem when I go see band. Friends of mine will be like, "Oh, so and so's coming to Phoenix. Say, let's go. Let's get some tickets and go." And I still have this thing where I don't know if it's my ego or I need to grow and learn, but I want to be the one playing the drums.
Me too.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm a football player watching a football game. I'm like, I want to be the one catching the ball.
Yeah.
Hey man, can we switch gears real quick? Can I ask Jerry a different question?
Yeah.
All right. Hey Jerry, I want to know the origin story, man. How come drumming? Why drumming? Where did that come from, and when and how?
Yeah. So this is kind of an interesting story. I don't share it on a lot of podcasts, and I will. I mean, I know this is a podcast that is for drummers by drummers, so I feel comfortable. First of all, I'm looking at the level of instruction and talent that is. I realize from the very beginning here that I am punching way above my weight class. I am surrounded by some incredibly talented people here.
Not at all, man. You're an animal on that album. You played the drums like they owed you money.
I have a t-shirt that says it.
I have always wanted to play drums ever since I was a kid, and my parents would never let me play drums. And there was a very good reason why my father would not allow me to play drums. And the reason was, when he was a kid, he wanted to play drums and his parents told him no. So therefore he's going to tell me no, because that's how the universe unfolds.
Mm-hmm. Punishment.
So I just because I wasn't allowed to play drums didn't take away from the fact that I always wanted to play drums. So I was tapping and beating on anything that I could as a kid or whatever. And I always wanted to be like, it was an instrument that I was rhythm, and the instrument was always something that really fascinated me. And I felt like, I think as drummers, we kind of have this thing, like, I don't know if you do this thing where when you close your mouth and there's music playing, like you do little drum beats with like your tongue in the back of your mouth, clicking little beats and whatnot.
What I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I've been doing that my entire life. And so it was very weird because, my mother has a master's degree in music, and I'm an immigrant, by the way, from the former Soviet Union. I've worked hard to disguise myself with the American sounding accent. Yeah.
Wow.
So my my mother has a master's degree in music, but when we came to the United States, she's like, no, you're not going to take a vow of poverty and anonymity to be a musician. You're going to go and start a business. And joke's on her. I went and started a business, and I'm still playing music. When I moved out of the house, I still kind of had that chip on my shoulder. I'm like, I want to play drums. So I was out on my own. I was growing out of the house. So I actually did not start playing drums until I was a young adult. I began playing drums at the age of 25.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Which is,
You know what? And I don't mean to interrupt your story. I have to interject this, though. I saw a thing with Tommy Igoe the other day. So many people put so much weight on their age, like it's a thing. And for some reason, this is just me personally, when I hit 30, I quit. I'm like, I don't care anymore. This is who I am. This is what I do. That was a long time ago. And Tommy Igoe did this thing the other day. He's saying, I have so many students right now that just started with me that are in their 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's so cool. I have students come to me all the time. Oh, I'm too old, but I've wanted to do it my whole life. And so anyway, I apologize, Jerry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I have to say good on you for at 25 years old going, hey, this is what I want to do. And you're doing it. That's amazing. Way to go. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. So at that point, so where do we leave off here? Yeah, at 25. So I went and bought a drum set. And I got talking with some people around town. And I at that point, like I had already started to develop into my career. And so I knew that, with age comes wisdom. So I wasn't just going to sit around and, screw around on this kit until something sounds like music. I'm like, no, I need to get training. Like I want to get coaching. I'm going to hire the best drum teacher money can buy. I'm going to practice 7 days a week, and I'm going to play this freaking thing until I sound like I've been playing my whole life. Like I said, I had this chip on my shoulder. Like I would listen to the guys that started with like snare drum in high school. And I'm like, these guys got like a 10-year head start on me. Mm-hmm. So, and most of the time people say that if you don't achieve proficiency if you don't at least start the instrument, like in your early to mid teens, like that's when the neuroplasticity of your brain or whatever really gravitates towards the instrument or whatever. I wasn't going to listen to any of that. I was going to practice that thing until I sounded like I knew what I was doing. So I was asking around town. I was like, hey, I want to hire the best drum teacher money can buy. Just who's the guy? And that is actually how I met a Mr. Chip Ritter. So, I have known Chip now for many, 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 many years. We were young men. I didn't think about it back then because for me, it was just, I was a man on a mission. Like, I'm like, oh, this is the guy. Okay, cool. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. How am I supposed to practice? I didn't think about this. And I mean, maybe this is an interesting story from Chip's perspective, but I didn't think about it at the time. But like, I was like his oldest student. And like, I would come in and, I'd try to learn the stuff and I would practice it while in between drum lessons and come back and see him and whatnot. So I, 7 days a week, hours and hours a day, just played until I got decent. And I would say reasonably proficient, probably within about a year. I was playing in bands about a year after that. Within about 3 years, like I could say, okay, like I have a pretty good handle on this instrument.
Right on. That's
way
awesome.
to go, man. And again, my hat's off to you. I think that's wonderful. Okay, now you threw something out there, and I have quite a few questions for you, but I have to ask about this. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a child of my era was growing up was the Cold War. Where in the heck did you live in the Soviet Union? And how long have you been in America? What was that like? That I'm so fascinated right now. Please, I got to hear this.
Well, I am from the country of Moldova, which is part of the former Soviet Union. Wow. I was raised, when we came here with my mom and dad and my mom's mom, my grandma, and she's really the one that raised me. Both of my parents came over here and just worked their tails off to accomplish, the American dream. Mm. And for those of you who are listening audio only, I did the finger quotes around the American dream. My grandmother was a Holocaust survivor, and she's just a great lady, tough as nails. And when we lost her, it was like losing my mom. And so, yeah, they just, we came here. I was, obviously you can tell from my lack of an accent, I was very young when we came here. I don't have much as far as memories. I mean, really, I'm as American as apple pie now, but yeah, English is my third language. And I've had, it's been quite the journey. I mean, if my folks were on here, I mean, I'm sure they would tell you some really cool stories, but yeah, the stories I have are just the ones that have been handed down to me and whatnot, along with some terribly unfunny Russian humor, and that's pretty much it.
That's so cool. And again, I don't know why I'm so fascinated. I've always wanted to go to. I've been on tour. I've been to Eastern Europe. We've been to Hungary and Croatia and Kosovo, Macedonia, all those places. But I've always wanted to go to the Soviet Union. I've always wanted to go to Russia. I just want to see it, I guess, more than anything. And I'm fascinated by history and the fact that your grandmother's a Holocaust survivor and everything. That's phenomenal. That's a really cool story. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. That was really cool.
Yeah,
And
man.
then, yeah, so now I got to throw this one out there. And again, this is rather self-serving. Talk to us about your business as a gym owner. I'm not the big buff gym guy, but I'm in the gym all the time. I like to work out. I like to keep myself in shape. Being a drummer, how long have you been doing that? That's so cool. And how do the two intertwine?
So yeah, I've been coaching for 21 years now. It was a second career for me. I began in the corporate world and got really, really burnt out on that. And I knew that I wanted to do something that was more physical and also healthier for my body. This was also right around the time that I shifted and I wanted to learn how to play drums. So a lot of this stuff was kind of happening as I was a fairly young man. I began coaching. I worked as a personal trainer in a gym, kind of the more traditional job. And I know it's hard to tell on camera, but I'm a little dude. I'm 5'6". I weigh probably about 145 pounds. And needless to say, I don't fit the stereotype of your typical gym bro. So I got pretty burnt out in that world early on. And I was very, very lucky to get turned on to some mentors that really understood what serious strength training and what it really meant to take care of your body and what it meant to, do things that benefit 20 years from now, Jerry, not necessarily what Jerry looks like in the mirror today. And I was very lucky that I met those guys at a relatively young age. And now it's been a game of maintenance where I have been able to, maintain, I hold, like we were talking about in powerlifting, I hold a number of state records in a number of age categories and a number of weight classes. And some of those records I've set 10, 15 years ago that still stand today.
Wow.
Being able to preserve, myself and stay mobile and stay reasonably pain-free. That's really the system that I teach in my career. And it's gotten some national notoriety. So I belong to a variety of groups and I travel and I teach my systems to instructors all over the country. And for a while there, I was traveling all over the world actually to do that. So that's been a big part of, the health and wellness aspect, the longevity aspect has been a huge part of my life. And then now as I'm getting older in the tooth, I mean, as you guys, and I think most of the people listening to this podcast know, it's a physically demanding instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Tim Alexander recently left Primus, and when I read his little blurb on why he was leaving the band, it kind of spoke to me because, Primus has been around for a while. Jerry was a race car driver. It was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And, the guy is getting longer in the tooth and like the back pain and like what touring has just done to his body. He just decided that he couldn't handle it anymore. And I don't know exactly how old he is, but I'm guessing he's probably around the same age as the guys that are hanging out in this room right now.
Yep.
The fact that I am able to, I'm a heavy hitter. I play heavy music, and I'm more or less with the exception of a few minor muscle tweaks here and there. As far as injuries go, I mean, I barely have a scratch on me, and I live pretty pain free. And I have a lot to thank between the two things. Where between I use the things that I've learned from my health, strength, wellness to help my drumming career.
That's awesome.
I'm hearing a couple of things here. Again, very self-serving with the exception of this finger. All of my fingers very, very flexible. I've gone to great lengths to study and incorporate molar into my drumming to keep a very relaxed grip.
Yeah.
Again, I work out, I lift weights, practice yoga for years. I try to eat right, supplements, the whole 9 yards. And I'm so intrigued by this, and I'm talking about myself because I'm trying to use myself as an example, if you will. And what I'm hearing is that you really are into mentorship. You went to the best drum teacher money can buy, Chip Ritter. You go to guys to learn how to lift correctly. You went to mentors to how to learn how to, do all the things that you've done. And I think that that's amazing. Do you think that those two worlds of mentorship will intersect with you, and you might go on to be a drum teacher or a coach or something like that in drumming or the music business?
It's really hard to tell what the future holds. My wife retired recently, and she had one retirement, and it failed. And so after she failed retirement, she retired again. I think this time it's for good. And we've got 2 grandkids, and they're scattered in 2 different parts of the country. We have a 3rd grandkid on the way. I hope I'm allowed to talk about that now. When does this air?
Of course.
It's on now. It's on now.
Oh, it's live. Oh, crap.
Yeah, we're live.
I'm kidding. She's far enough along. We're allowed to talk about it. But they're one of them's in Colorado, one of them's on the East Coast, and one of the things that I've realized was I've been called ambitious, driven, workaholic. Depends on whether you want to look at it in a positive or a negative light. But I think when I hear people refer to me as being very driven, in my mind, I don't hear driven. I hear tortured. My brain is, my brain is a tornado of anxiety, and I have a really tough time sitting still. And I think I realize now that like a lot of my life is, not going to be super, super sustainable long term. So I am looking at other avenues. So a lot of my coaching that I do, like outside of my gym with other gym owners and other athletes and whatnot, a lot of that is being done virtual, which is really neat because it allows me to untether myself from my location. I'm very fortunate in my gym where I am surrounded by incredibly, incredibly talented people, a very skilled general manager. Kelly, you're awesome if you're watching this. And a really, really talented staff, which allows me to do a lot of the work that I need to do virtually. So to answer your question, if there's an opportunity for me to untether myself from a particular geographic location and be a teacher and a mentor towards folks in the music world, folks in wellness and whatnot, I'm all for it. I have to be honest with you. There's a little bit of an imposter syndrome there. I don't know if this is just because I've had such talented teachers who have mentored me, but I do feel a little behind the curve, let's say, to be a teacher of music.
Well, you're a humble cat, though. You know what I mean? That's also Jerry, and I gotta speak to the people listening to this about Cranberry Suit. I've been a fan of their band ever since Mike Lars Ravenhawk has gotten this project going. I've been a super fan because the music is so original, so compelling, so fresh. It's like I have trouble describing your music. It's fresh, it's new, but it's also got classic appeal as far as, 4 band members or 5 band members playing acoustic instruments, doing, just everybody's playing it. You're not using backing tracks. There's no symphony in the composure. You know what I mean? It's just a really awesome thing. But, every band member is super humble. Brian Nelson is a friend of mine, and I think he's one of the best bass players in Arizona. And if you say, hey, that's the bass player from Panbury Suit, and he's like, no, dude, I'm just a guy that plays bass. I'm no. And Jerry is the same way. Jerry, you're super humble for how talented you are, man.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
So I I mentioned at the top of the show that I've been out walking, and I listened to your album, I think twice through. And I agree with Chip. It kind of has a classic appeal to it. Really strong record from beginning to end. I was going to try to make a mental note of some of the names of the songs, but I listened to the record a couple times. Then I went to your YouTube channel, saw some lyric videos, and one video that I saw was kind of like a cartoon animated thing with spaceships and things like that. And I don't remember the name of the song, but it was really cool.
It's Game of Illusion.
Game of Illusion. Yeah. And you guys have a record deal. I'm curious, how often are you guys performing? Are you doing like what's your schedule like?
Well, that tends to ebb and flow a little bit. When we got really like when Fire Rock, when we signed with Fire Rock, they gave us a deadline, and so we got very, very serious about finishing the writing, recording, and producing of the album. So we had taken a pretty long hiatus just so we could focus on the album. So we hadn't played out in I want to say it was like a period of about 6 months. Oh. And when we first got together, we were just trying to become a band, like try to gel the 5 members together. When that was going on, we were playing, I don't know, probably like once a month. Sometimes there'd be like twice a month. We had a couple busy times where I think that we might have done like 3 gigs in a month. Mm-hmm. And now that the album is out, there's a couple of album release parties. One of them is going to be in Tucson. So for my Tucson folks who are listening to this, if that's going to be on May 17th at the Groundworks. And I'm sure you guys have a way to put the links in the show notes.
I will put them in there.
Yeah. But yeah, so now with the album being out, I think the answer to your question is probably around like once or twice a month.
Okay. What's the farthest you guys have traveled to do a show?
As a group, this group, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Phoenix is the farthest we've gone. So we haven't gone on the road yet. There was a couple of close calls where we were looking to do like a regional stint where we would join a particular band as like national support. And, like they go through this particular area through a couple of states and a few cities. And it's like a 10-day thing. I think there was a couple of close calls where we almost got called up to do that, but it ended up not happening. So we think that with this new album coming out, that it's going to open up some more doors for us to do a little bit more travel.
Cool. So Jerry, I got to ask you about the beast behind you. You know what I mean? Is it Bubinga? What
it is?
What's your gear? Can you run down your gear for us, please?
Sure. So during my break from playing, I actually sold my studio kit. So this is actually my only drum set. It is a Tama Star Classic Exotics. It was built in 2004.
Wow.
It is Bubinga, African Bubinga. The outer ply is a very rare quilted African Bubinga. And I think Tama had enough of this wood to produce, I want to say, about 150 of these drum sets. And I think mine is number 43. So it is a very, very unique instrument. I don't know who all 150 drummers are that own this particular kit, but I do know that one of them happens to be Stuart Copeland.
Nice.
Oh,
wow. The snare that I mainly play on matches is the matching snare for the kit. And I also have a couple of other snares that I use. Some we use on recordings. Some I use. I have a bell brass snare, and that's just that. So that depends on like where we're playing, sometimes if I need something to cut a little bit harder, I'll use some backup snares. So Tama Star Classic Exotics, all my hardware is Tama. I play on Iron Cobra bass drum pedals and Iron Cobra hi-hat stands. My cymbals are Paiste Signature Series, with the exception of one of the accent chimes and one of the Chinas. And please, I mean, if you guys want me to go into more details, I can, but just to keep.
Oh,
things
we
short,
love the details. We're drum geeks, man.
Yeah. So yeah, so Paiste Signature Series, going from like if you're sitting at the kit going left to right, it's a 18-inch signature full crash, 18-inch signature power crash. On top of that, I have a splash stack. That's a signature 8-inch splash. And then the crash that's on the far end is a 20-inch power crash. And then the two Chinas are a signature 18-inch signature heavy crash that's on the ride side. And then the big one that's up on the up by the hi-hat is that's a 2002 series. It's a 2002 20-inch, 22-inch Novo China.
Nice.
The ride is a 22-inch power ride that they actually do not make anymore. One of my little quirks about heavy music is when I hear, it's usually like local bands and whatnot, they have like these really anemic rides where you hear this big heavy music and then the ride is like ting, ting, ting. I mean,
Yeah.
I like that big, beefy, heavy ride sound. So that's so it's a Paiste Signature Reflector 22-inch power ride. They
Signature reflectors, those are nice.
Yeah, they actually don't build this ride anymore. There's some other iterations of it. I believe the Nico McBrain ride is similar to that, but mine's a little bit different. I will be very sad if anything ever happens to that ride because
Power
it's not...
Slave.
Yeah, the Power Slave. I think if something ever, God forbid, happened to that ride, that's probably what I would end up using. And then I play on a small hi-hat. I actually run a 13-inch hi-hat, and it's a Paiste Signature Sound Edge. I like the smaller hi-hat because I'm a short guy, and it allows me to squeeze my hardware a little bit tighter. And it lets me kind of keep everything like where I can reach everything really easily. And I also like the crispness of the smaller hats. And then that last stack down there at the bottom, that's a Paiste Signature 10-inch splash. And then the inverted cymbal on top of that is a 6-inch Paiste cup chime.
Right on, man. That's
Nice.
cool. So then you've got this band Cranberry Suit that you're in. What's your favorite thing about being in Cranberry Suit regarding bands that you've been in before? Like what's your favorite aspect of being in this band, this lineup?
Well, I think this is something that's going to resonate with the drummers here. A lot of times, because of the nature of the instrument, we often get treated like the hired help, where it's like you've got a lead singer, or you got a group of guys where they're like, okay, these are the songs. Here's what they sound like. Here's how they go. And if you so much less as put a little extra triplet on your hi-hat, you're fired from this band.
That's true. That's
Been
not
there.
funny. That's true.
And sweep up before you leave.
And stop playing so loud.
Yeah. Coffee's for closers.
So my favorite thing about Cranberry Suit is these are 5 guys that are just like, you know what? We have some ideas. And I think this kind of speaks a little bit to like what Chip was saying about the humility of these guys. Is we'll come in and be like, all right, we have these fragments, we have these ideas, and the 5 of us build these songs together. Like, it's really interesting. Like, even though, so whenever you get 5 type A personalities into a room together, you're taking a risk here. So we have to come in. There's a metal detector over here. We have to check all of our weapons at the door.
Yeah.
We come in. And you have to be able to step aside from yourself and go, okay, like we're gonna do what we think serves this music the best. So my skills are more in like composition, rhythm, arrangement, and that sort of thing. So a lot of the like interesting time signatures that you hear in the album, the stops and starts and the transitions and how the songs are arranged. The guys have entrusted me with being able to move a lot of that in the direction that I thought would sound good. Melodically, Mike writes a lot of the music, Raven Hawk. Brad is an exceptional writer of poetry, and a lot of that stuff, ends up becoming what you hear as the song lyrics for the song. Brian, as we mentioned before, he has this incredible ear to go, oh, this is the melody that he's doing. Here's how that works on bass. And like, he will come up with these things that melodically flow with what Mike is doing, but then also are really, really locked into like what my kick drum patterns are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've one of the books that I really got into was Four-Way Coordination. I believe that's a Marvin Dahlgren book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that
is,
book.
yes.
Yeah, it was written like in the 50s or something like that. But I got real nerdy on that stuff. So like, I have almost the same type of dexterity in my feet as I do in my hands. Like, I can do like paradiddles and whatnot on my feet. So a lot of how I color the sound of how I drum is rooted in that. So we each have these unique talents, and everybody gets to contribute to that sound. So what ends up happening, so I think it's the way Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, used to say, none of us are as good as all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So the five of us,
Yeah.
what we end up coming up with is just so much better than what any one particular bandmate would be able to come up with on their own. So that's really my favorite part of being in a band like that.
That's cool. It's a group creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, because so many times you run into the polar opposite, where one person is like, hey, I'm the guy, I'm the songwriter, I write the songs. And if you would just allow people to be themselves, I think that sometimes the songs come out better, because like you said, Jerry, everybody has their own unique talents and their own unique things to offer to a songwriting experience or a songwriting collaboration. It's not just about one person, it's about the greater sum of the whole.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic that you get to do that, man. Good on you. Really cool.
Yeah. Really, really excited about that.
That's great. Fred, you look like you're going to ask something there, and I was going to jump on you. Sorry.
So I'm always curious about the record label aspect of a band anymore. What does the record label do for your band that you can't do without it?
That's a great question, Fred. I was actually wondering the same thing myself.
Yes.
Perfect answer. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
I'm all out of questions now.
Are you guys, are you printing physical product? Are they distributing it for you? What are they doing? I think it is a great question.
Yeah, we are. And I have to be really honest with you. Like, there's things that I do for the band that I do, dare I say, on a high level. This is not something that I'm directly involved in. That's actually a question that's better for Brad and Mike. But no, there is physical product. Actually, as soon as one of you guys takes over, I don't want to have too much radio silence here. I'm going to go snag a copy of it. I actually have copies here that I can show you. There is a physical CD. There's digital download, and we also printed a very limited edition run of vinyl.
Wow.
And we had a pre-sale where you could pre-order vinyl or a CD. And we did a very limited run. They were all signed by the band. My arm is very tired still from that day, and we sold out. And we're actually now, hopefully, the second run of physical product will be here in time for the next CD release party. Otherwise, we'll be showing up to the CD release party without CDs.
Uh-oh.
But no, like the physical. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said not good.
Yeah, not good. The physical album can be purchased towerrecords.com, walmart.com, amazon.com. There's a small handful of Tower Records physical locations that are still available, and as I understand it, our physical copies of the album can be purchased at Tower Records, which our singer was very excited about, because that was like a bucket list lifelong goal for him.
Right on.
But most of the distribution, like anything now, is done through the online medium. And I think that answers your question, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Most definitely.
Go grab it. I got something to say about the band. Go ahead and grab that CD.
Please.
So yeah, these guys are playing in Tucson, and they opened up for Steel Panther, right?
Nice.
And this crowd is you can tell, like, from the 80s, and they're all just they're a little older, and they're like, the jaded crowd. They're like kind of like standing there with their arms folded, like, what do you got to show us, whatever. And Cranberry Suit comes out and starts melting everybody's faces, dude. They just started lighting up the stage. They were opening up for the next show I saw was opening up for Dawkins, and they played for Dawkins, and they got the crowd just hyped up, dude. And then Don Dawkins comes out, and he's wearing a Cranberry Suit t-shirt. So I thought that was really cool, man. That was really cool.
Yeah, we're fairly unknown. So like when we get the chance to open, we also opened for Last in Line, which is the Ronnie James Dio's former bandmates.
Right.
And so, yeah, nobody knows who we are, right? So we come out, everyone's kind of quiet, and we start doing the Cranberry Suit thing. And 2-3 songs in, it's just,
got them. They're with you.
The feedback that we get after the shows is just overwhelming. I mean, like I've played places, I've done some things musically. I don't know that I've really been on the receiving end of the rock star treatment quite like some of those shows have been. I mean, like I had a drummer come up to me, Chip, you'll appreciate this. Like he was like nervous to talk to me. Like he was like legit starstruck, which totally weirded me out. I'm like, dude, I'm just some freaking guy. I own a gym that's like 8 traffic lights from here. Like, like, dude, like you just come in and say hi anytime you want. But yeah, no, I mean, the response was just really, really great. Yeah. I won't say anything else about it. The Steel Panther show was just freaking crazy.
The Steel Panther show was awesome though. It was awesome.
Let's see that CD.
Yeah. So this is the CD.
Nice.
This is the
vinyl
album, an album.
An album.
Does that also come with the digital download?
It does not. But I will say I think they were the guys were doing something. If somebody ordered one of these, we kind of figured out a way to hook them up, I think.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So just a full band. This band is full of rock stars that you would never know if you were talking to them and you met them on the street. You never know that they're in a band as successful with the sound, such a polished and finished professional type of situation. It's really cool. And again, all of them are super humble like Jerry is. They're just like uncomfortable, almost uncomfortable with compliments, like it's kind of weird. It's like, dude, you're on fire. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, you're on fire. You're this big bear with these claws. It's like, how to kill the rabbit? How do I kill the rabbit? It's like, you're so money and you don't even know it. I got their song on my playlist constantly in my car. I got the CD in my car, and rarely am I listening to the radio or anything else. It's Cranberry Suit when I'm driving, it's Hollow down the freeway. I'm doing the breakdown. It's awesome, man.
Yeah. Hollow's a great song.
Yeah.
Kind of a funny story about what you were saying. My wife and I went on a cruise here a couple years ago, and because of what I do for a living, like if you're a strength coach or you work in a gym environment or whatnot, you want to never, ever, ever tell people what you do for a living in a setting outside of your setting, because instantly everyone gets uncomfortable. And then you wouldn't believe this unless you saw it, but within a few short minutes, they start giving me diet and exercise advice. It is the strangest dynamic.
Uh-huh.
Okay, how does that work? You're the gym owner, but they're telling you how to diet and exercise.
I think there's an inherent insecurity that people have when they meet somebody like me. And a lot of times, like they will, like that insecurity can kind of sometimes manifest itself in such a way where they're kind of trying to engage. I take it as, I roll with it now. I mean, I kind of play along and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. That's interesting. So anyway, when I'm in an environment like a cruise ship, like I'm not going to tell people that I'm a personal trainer, especially like or anything involved with gym or exercise or diet or anything, like all that stuff, I just keep to myself because, you're having dinner with the same people every night, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want this to turn into one of those conversations. So
Right.
when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them I play music.
Nice. Nice.
So then, like there was this couple that we were sitting next to, and we had some kind of like conversation. Like if you guys have been on cruises, you get to meet the people and whatnot. And they were like, he was actually interested. He was asking me questions about like, what's the name of the band and what kind of music is it? And I'm like, it's like a hard rock, like heavy metal type of music, kind of a classic sound. And then there was quiet, entrees came in and whatnot. And then like 30 minutes later, he looks over at me and he's like, "You don't look like a heavy metal drummer." And I'm like, well, I don't know what a heavy metal drummer is supposed to look like. But I think I am kind of, and actually a lot of the band is like this. I mean, we're all kind of weird, like anti-rock stars. I mean, I have no tattoos. I've been married to the same woman forever. I go to bed at 8 o'clock. Like I'm like the most,
you don't have any overdosing on heroin stories.
No, sorry. I barely drink. No drugs, just, boring. Just really, really boring.
Hey, Jerry, we got Patrick Legali's watching on Facebook, and he asked, Jerry, do you like to listen to NoFX?
I am familiar with the band. I couldn't recall one of their songs, but I guess the truthful answer to that is no.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question is, where's the inspiration for your musical background? Like, who do you draw from creatively, musically?
Chip Ritter.
No, it's inspirations of yours.
Yeah. So I'm if you listen to like how I play the drums, and if you also watch like visually how, but also like the sensibilities of how I play. First of all, I'm assuming the NoFX question came. Whenever somebody comes up to us, we always hear this. We're like, you know who you guys sound like? And then whatever comes out of their mouth after that is never the same band twice, which I take as a compliment.
That's got to be a compliment.
That is a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really into the really heavy proggy stuff. So like one of my big drumming influences is Danny Carey from Tool.
Mhm.
I like that, one of the things that I hope comes across on the record is, even though like there's a lot of weird time signatures and changes and tempo stuff, it doesn't sound like your traditional proggy stuff, especially like local music proggy stuff, where it just sounds like a controlled seizure.
Mhm.
Like,
right.
despite the fact that there's some odd times and stuff in there, it still has that groove. Like if you know nothing about music, you can still kind of move your head to it and really enjoy it.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like what I would say my playing style is. I'm not a busy drummer. I'm not really a super flashy drummer. Not that there's anything wrong with the folks who are. I like to have those big crushing grooves, and then if you want to hear the technical nature of what I'm doing, you really have to listen carefully. So like you guys brought up Game of Illusion, right? So in the second verse, there's a little polyrhythm that I do where I've got that snare going on the downbeat. I have that 16th note on the kick drum. I'm doing triplets on my right hand, and then I'm opening the hi-hat in quarter notes. So just a little fun little ditty that I'm moving my four limbs at different speeds at 4 times. It's fun to do. It's a cool little trick.
That's cool.
And but if you're not really listening or paying attention to it, it just sounds like a thing, just a beat.
I think when you're playing an odd time or you're putting something in polyrhythmic and it doesn't stand out, that's when you're doing it right.
Yeah, I agree.
It still serves the song what Jerry does.
Yeah. There are so many times that people, I think, try to, okay, I'm going to put in my Rod Morgenstein right now. And it just, it's like, no, not right now. Don't do that. Don't do that there. And if you're playing and it's transparent, like if it's not there, then it's there and you're dead on. There's so many songs you can point to that are like that. And if you're achieving that, that's huge. That's huge.
So, Jerry, I got another question for you. What would you say to a young drummer who's coming up and wants to be where you're at? What advice would you give to somebody young that's starting on their path as a drummer and takes a look at you with your record deal and your rock band and just says, man, how do I get to where you're at? What would you say?
It's a great question, Chip. I think this is kind of an answer that I would say applies to almost all the things that I'm involved in, which is everything that I do, I don't do for the money. I do for the passion of the thing that I'm doing. So one of my mentors many, many years ago, this was pre-music, pre-gym. This was the corporate world. He was the CEO of the company that I was working for. And one of the things he said is you take something that you absolutely love and you make a career out of it.
Yep.
And so like I built my gym basically completely backwards from how every business mentor tells you to do it. I started by building what I felt was the absolute very best product that I was capable of making. And then I worried about how I was going to talk people into consuming that product. And Cranberry Suit does the same thing. We're in Arizona, and Arizona actually has a very vibrant wine country. Are you guys wine drinkers, any of you? I know Chip's not.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Fred may be.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not a huge wine guy, but if I am going to drink wine, I drink Arizona wine. And I'll tell you why. Arizona wine has a very different mentality. Most of the wines that we drink that are at the grocery stores, a lot of those are made in Northern California. And when you go there, our lead singer is actually from that area. And what they do up there is they have these trends where it's like, okay, this is what people are drinking right now. Like it's this particular blend with this much Petite Syrah and this much and this much and this much. And everyone starts making that wine. Arizona, they don't do that. Arizona just goes, we make the wine that we like to drink. If you guys want to buy a bottle, cool. If you don't, awesome, more for us. And that's how I approach music. I think that's how Cranberry Suit approaches music. Like I make the music that I like to hear. And if people want to listen to it, awesome. So somebody getting started, number one, do it for the passion. If you're doing it for money, I recommend getting into something other than music. The second thing is become a master of the basics. If you, I don't want to screw up this camera too badly, but I don't know if you can see that poster there. It's at a weird angle. It sits right next to my kit where I can see it. It's the 40 snare drum rudiments.
Wow.
And I walked away from the mic. You guys caught all that, right?
Yeah, 40 rudiments.
Yeah, so it's the 40 snare drum rudiments. And those always sit up in every practice room that I've ever set up for myself. I practice them frequently. I use a lot of those things as warm-ups. And what separates the masters from everybody else in virtually any profession that you go to is that the masters are just simply better at executing the basics with incredible, incredible precision.
Bam.
I like
Very
that.
well said. Very
like
well said.
That's awesome, man. Awesome.
Jerry, I want to thank you for being on the show. We're out of time here, but I think that is a great way to end the show. Mastering the basics. It's phenomenal. So thank you for being part of our little dog and pony show. I think this is just wonderful. And I'm very intrigued. I'll probably reach out to you either email or instant message or something like that. I want to talk to you about some physical fitness stuff because I'm into that. And I promise you I won't give you workout regimes or diet advice.
Yeah. In closing, if I may,
please do. Yeah.
Thank you. So on the music side of things, please visit cranberrysuit.com. We got a lot of really, really exciting stuff coming up. There's some album release parties. If you guys are in Southeast Arizona, we got something going on up in down in Bisbee, I believe. And on the gym side of things, the name of my organization is called The Protocol Strength and Conditioning. You can visit theprotocolsc.com, like the protocol samcharlie.com. And that's probably the easiest way to connect with me. And then social media, I'll be honest, I'm not a big social media guy. A lot of that stuff is ran by people other than me. But if you do reach out to me, it will eventually get back to me if it's something that's not spam or you trying to sell me something. But yeah, under my personal name, also all the socials for Cranberry Suit and all the socials for the protocol.
Right on, man.
Very
Thank
good.
you, Jerry.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. And thank you, Fred, for being our guest host today.
Yeah, man.
Fred Rock.
Yeah,
Rock.
very cool. All right. So everybody have a fantastic day. Jerry, I'll let you know as soon as this will be up on YouTube. It's already on YouTube, but I'll spruce it up a little bit, get the artwork with it today or tomorrow, and I'll let you know as soon as it is up on the audio podcast, and we'll go from there. Everybody
Thank
have
you,
a
guys.
fantastic day. Go practice.
Thank you, Jerry.
And you heard it from Jerry himself. Go practice your rudiments.
Go practice the basics. CranberrySuit.com.
CranberrySuit.com. We'll see you guys next week.